first time I've ever done this. I've decided, I don't know why I've decided to put my face in these things. I, Ducati 848. I've decided to put it up for sale. I've had it for, I think, 3 and a bit years. It was my dream bike. It wasn't. The 916 was the bike I grew up with. It's less practical than this. The 999 didn't like the style of it. 1098 came out. Ooh, great. I had a ZX10R 2004. Realised that you can't get away with 120 mph second gear all the time, and most of the time it's not really usable. So the first sensible thing I've ever done, and bought a smaller capacity bike. Don't get me wrong, I've got a proper thing for GSX 1050s. They're the right thing, and this is roughly similar, but with all the V-twin torque goodness. Yeah, so not my dream bike, but my adult considered opinion equivalent of that dream bike. Anyway, I got it cheap. Cheaper than normal because it's cat in. Something's happened to it. Previous owner said, they all do. You know what? There's never a cat in, or it was in a horrific crash and had to be built from the ground up. Yeah. So light drop, only cosmetic. Some of them out there have been bent in half. And yeah, it's all dead. None of them ever have been. Anyway, I can't find any evidence of damage or mistreatment on this bike. The lock set all matches, the ECUs match to everything works. No sign that I can see of any dents, damage, replaced panels that don't quite match, blah blah blah. Light cosmetic drop apparently, and no reason to refute it. So anyway, so I'm aware that this bike will go cheaper than a non-cat equivalent. But what that kind of does is might be the cheapest way into owning an iconic bike. I think of this as quite an iconic bike. It was Ducati's return. For me, it was a dream bike. For somebody else, it might not be. But if you're looking at it, probably is for you. Anyway, enough waffle. I'll write in the ad how I'm going to sell it. I've got a few options. So it's got, you can't see it from there, I'll give you a walk around in a minute. It's got some Termi end cans, it's got carbon fibre everywhere, it's got Oberon Master clutch cylinder, set of rear sets, adjustable rear sets on it. I'll come back to that, why that's like that in a minute. It's got a Comfort Sergeant seat, a couple £100 worth. It's got all the stuff, it's got the stock, but I've got all the other stuff for it as well. There's loads of spares. I've got a carbon front guard, the rear seat pump, everything. I've got a program that will flash the ECU for it. I've got all sorts. I've had it 3.5 years and I loved it. Haven't done the expensive stuff, so it's still got a Sachs rear shock. It doesn't have the O-rings on it. More because the O-rings takes more to maintain than the Sachs, and to be honest, I'm a chubby lad, you know, and the spring is okay for me. But if you're light, then I think most people complain of that being oversprung, and I think that might be true. Anyway, so this particular bike, where to go? It's always been garaged. It's done 19,000 miles. There is some damage on it. I'll give you a walk around later on, but it's limited to, and I did it. Sorry, I didn't. There's a crack in the rear plastic panel here, and I stalled it at a set of traffic lights. Come back to why in a minute. Maybe I stalled it at traffic lights and gently laid the thing down on its side, but the mirror snapped and it cracked a part of the nose cone. It's not bad, and I haven't bothered to fix it. But yeah, if it bothers you, yeah. Again, I mean, a good condition nose cone. I mean, it's a fair amount of money, and you definitely repair that before you replace it. I mean, it's nowhere near bad enough to replace. You won't. Yeah, you pay £300 for one in this condition. Anyway, so yeah, it's been really well looked after. So that's the other thing. So again, I don't know how I'm going to sell this, but it's due its belts being replaced, more for time than mileage, and I've got the belts over there. I'll show you in my garage. I'm a reasonably competent home mechanic. I've rebuilt gearboxes. I can do pretty much anything. Yeah, so internal, inside the engine, and external. I've got a bike lift here. I've got all the kit to do it. So I've got the belts. I've got the cam locking tool. Just makes things a little bit easier because one of the inlet cams likes to close up. Being desmodronic, there's no return springs on the. Sorry, there's a very light return spring on the. I think the. I can't remember if the opening or closing. It'll be the closing. The closing valves just to create that pressure, and yeah, one of the cams moves slightly when you remove the belt. So I've got a cam locking till all 15 quid worth of it in order to do that. All of that will come. I'll either do that and sell it, or I'll bung it in for the new owner to do. I think the valves will probably need to be checked imminently. There's no sign. There's no problem with it. I think they were checked. I've got the full service history. You can find it when they're due. But again, between the needing a bit of a service and the Cat C, I think it was, you'll get this quite cheap. I think certainly relative to other 848s on the market. At 19,000 miles, yeah, I see them. I don't know what they go for. I see them up at 5.5. So I think I'm looking. Well, do you know what? Let's not. I'll write that down. I don't know. I've only just decided to sell it. My background is I was involved in a major accident. Was paralysed. I was in a coma. Nearly died. Paralysed. In a wheelchair for 6 months. Learned to walk again. I now can hobble around. I can ride my scooter, which I'll show you in a minute. I converted this using a flat shifter by Cliptronic flat shifter. So I had buttons and an actuator that would change the gears for me. But in all honesty, the riding position and the way I used to enjoy the bike, I used to. I'm from Scotland, so therefore I'm a bit stingy. So if I've paid for all of the tyre, I was going to use all the tyre. So I used to like to. I like to get my bikes right cranked over. I haven't got the confidence for that anymore. I haven't got the confidence with the endurance and the balance, so I can't move my body weight around the bike the way I would like to. So I'm more of a passenger. I'm more passive than I used to be, and it's not doing it justice to just bimble around on it. It just isn't, and it's not doing my mental health any good to see it sitting there thinking, no, you know what, I used to be able to scrub the edges of the tires and all that. So yeah, so it's going. So so that's why it's going. That's pretty much all that's wrong with it. It's got lots of, like I say, lots of little carbon fibre bits. I do want to make some money back on it. I'm not upset. I'm not hard up, but at the same time, I do want to get something fair and reasonable for it. And if I have to, I'll put the stock exhaust back on it, put everything back to stock, and then sell the trinkets and the bits that are worth some money separately. Or I might sell it as is, as long as I can get a decent, what I would consider a reasonable price for it. So yeah, so this is it. I cannot tell you how much I've loved this bike. Yeah, and how sad I am to see it go. That said, it's the most impractical piece of stuff that I've ever had in my life. It's a lovely motorcycle and a terrible mode of transport. But I tell you, when you do what it wants to do, there's literally nothing like it. I've had 53 motorcycles. I've got 2 at the minute. I've just sold another one as well as part of my rehab. Yeah, so part of my accident, I was paralysed on the left hand side, so I couldn't. My arm just about worked, but my leg didn't. So I had to. So I got the scooter first, and then I got an Aprilia Mana, which has a click gear shift. I never really rode that because I had the same physical issues with that I do with this, and it wasn't as rewarding to ride with it. So if you're going to go through the pain of having a bike ride, you would always ride the 848. You wouldn't take it easy on the Mania if the pain's the same. So yeah, so that's it. So seen enough of my face, I hope. And let me just lift the camera and I'll walk you around the bike. Let's see if we can get this done properly. There you go. Right, so this is a good sign. She's a very pretty thing. All mean and moody in the right colour. Yellow, you know, you've got to have had a lot of Ducatis to have a red one, to have a yellow one. So yeah, so there she is. Everything works. You know, so you'll find brake fluid would have been. I've had it 3.5 years. I would have changed that probably in the last year, or at least 2 years ago. Fork seals are fine. No fork leaks. No juddering from the brakes. No imbalance in the tires. The tires have literally done 300 miles max because I put them on last year, hoping to be able to ride it, and haven't been able to. The the mirrors are terrible. I use a little blind spot thing to give me some semblance of what's behind me without doing the chicken arm thing. There's the Termes that are on it. That's the Sergeant seat. These are all the rear sets down here, carbon fibre footplate. A painted red Ducati thing on the crankcase because I was bored one day. You probably want to wet and dry that off because it looks naff. Yeah. So there you go, there's the rear tyre, and she's practically brand new. So carbon fibre hugger on the rear. Let's go around this side. Small number plate, I've got a stock number plate to go with it. I've actually got a tail tidy as well if you fancied it. I took it off because it's got mini indicators on it, and I like to have the I like people to know what direction I'm turning, and I'm maybe a bit paranoid about it. So down this side, we've got the rear sets. This is my kind of homemade modification to try to see if I could change up and down, because my leg doesn't work very well. And what I've had to do is cut the belly pan slightly in order to accommodate that, and the quick shifter that I had on it before, the flat shifter, sorry, that I had on it before. And that's left some holes in the carbon fibre belly pan, which unfortunately there's no way back from really. So that, yeah, if it bothered you, you'd have to replace that side of it. At least they're in two halves. Oberon clutch cylinder, which makes a massive difference. The clutch on these is bloody horrible. The damage, sorry, yeah, that's what you care about most, is that. I don't know if you can see there's a slight crack in that. There are little bits of, you know, like rub marks and things like that I can't quite cut out. So it's not perfect. I mean, tank's okay. It's always had super in it, so it hasn't, as far as I know, there's no swelling. You know, the tank comes on and off okay from when I've done it. It's got a gear position indicator on it because it doesn't have a slipper clutch, and if you change down too many gears, I really like to know if I'm in first or second, then the back end's going to sort of lock up on me on the way into a corner, or used to when I used to ride reasonably well. So I've put a gear indicator on it, so again that'll stay there. I prefer the red front mudguard, but we've got a carbon fibre one kicking around somewhere. There's lots of spares. I'll list them all in the ad. So here we go. So the bike's good. Again, standard rear sets. I mean, I'm hoping to sell the rear sets maybe separately or keep them on, but I've got all the standard stuff to go back on it because it's because it's Italian. That's the most essential part, which is your Optimate to keep it going. I won't. Will I start it up? Yeah, I can start it. Right, okay, give it just to, from cold, it's been an Optimate, from cold, this is, so I can't demonstrate it is cold, but you'll need to trust me. In fact, no, I can, the temperature. I got a knock on the head in this accident as well, so I now stutter, and I'm still a year and a half later still coming to terms with it, and I'll lose my train of thought now. Anyway, 10 degrees outside, low temperature. I'll start the bike. Hold on a second. I don't want to. It's cold, so I don't want to absolutely rev the nuts off it. But so I always feel like these Japanese twins. This is my other Italian thing that I think I can ride that. So that's far more achievable for me. And that's what I've had to ride. My accident was on a ZZR 1400, so I've gone from a 14 ZZR 200 brake horsepower superbike to a 22 brake horsepower Vespa. But I tell you what, I'll take. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it, and the freedom's incredible. I'm hoping at some point to be able to physically be able to manage to ride that. The flat bars and the more upright riding position suits me quite well. I've got bits of me that I've been with reasonably different success been bolted back together again, and obviously I'm still coming back from paralysis, so it's a long road, and that looks achievable. This doesn't. So anyway, this is a little GoPro mount there which I can take off for you. The clutch master cylinder's only been on, it was brand new, it's been on 300 miles. You saw the electronics all work fine. Sorry, there you go. There's me dropping it in bloody traffic. So that's got a crack in it. It's a shame really. So because the rest of the bike is very, very nice. That's it. It really kind of stands out, and it annoys the crap out of me. I would certainly be fixing that if I kept hold of it. Like I said, it's only got a single key, but I've got a blank with a programmable blank, and I've read that Timson's will do it for you. Or there's a guy up in my local key cutting place who will do it for me for I think 60 quid for a second key. I keep my keys pretty safe, so I've never really bothered with it. But obviously, if you do lose that key, then a replacement ECU would be quite some considerable money. So I hope that's there'll be a load of things that I've forgotten. There'll be a load of things I've forgotten. And I'm more than happy to answer any sensible questions. Swap for a scabby 600 plus 500 quid I'm never going to answer, or I might do, but I'll be very, very sarcastic. To most people, you know what, it's just a Ducati. It's just a Ducati 848. To me, this was going to be the bike till I die thing, or until I got too old to ride it. And I am genuinely genuinely reasonably emotional about getting rid of it. Anyway, I've got a rear ride height adjuster. Long story short, the seat's thicker, so therefore you sit higher. What I did was to combat that. I felt slightly unstable on it, so I got a rear ride height adjuster link rod for the rear shock, which then raised the back, made it a little bit twitchy on the front, so then dropped the fork through the yokes by about the same as I raised the rear, I think about 10 mil. So this thing sits about 10 mil lower to the ground. You know, if you're a proper hero, and I used to get to the edge of the tyres. I don't anymore because they're only 300 miles old, and they've only been it's only been ridden post accident. I don't know. So what I'm saying is, I don't know what that does to the ground clearance. So yeah, but again, with the adjustable rear sets, I suppose that can't be a problem, because you can just adjust the pegs up to suit. Anyway, that's the bike. That's my bloody hell 20-minute yap about it. Sorry for that. I absolutely can waffle, and I tell you what, I could review this, and I reckon I'd be here for an hour and a half. Yep. Don't know how I'm going to sell it yet. Don't know if I'm going to put it on eBay, get bids on it, put it on Gumtree, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'll decide on a price, decide on what I want for it, and hopefully, and do a big write up and let you know all the details. But yeah, everything works. Brakes are sharp, Brembos are good, brake pads are good. Clutch was, like I say, was done. Clutch plates, I haven't replaced clutch plates. I've had it 3.5 years, but they're showing no signs of needing it. Tyres have been replaced as and when. The oil's got 500 miles on it max. Should change it this year anyway. Like I say, the belts are in there. They're ready to go on. I've got the clutch locking tool. You can download an app to set the frequency. I think it's pretty easy. I've never done it, but I did it on an older Ducati, and it seems I don't know what the fuss is about. I mean, it seems quite easy. All the electrics work. It runs fine, fuels perfectly. There are literally no faults other than the cracks that I've shown you, and the fact that it was designed by Italian people who physically can deal physically manage things that I'm not even nearly capable of doing, and it has been an absolutely sublime bike. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to say. Cheers. Bye.